Flosstube. I am Molly West, the Sensible Stitcher, and I am back. I'm gonna show, today's the last day of June, so I thought I would show what I have finished, what I worked on, and my Jolly July starts. So, without any further ado, I had two finishes, and they were both for my youngest daughter. The first thing that I finished for her was a blackbird design. This is my finish of the yellow submarine. With my daughter's help, we made a lot of color changes. We just pulled from stash and I let her choose what she thought looked good, and this is what she came up with, and it's finished. It's going in a frame, and it's going in the bathroom she shares with her sister. My second finish is also for the same daughter, and I will insert a picture of the pattern here. And this is the finish of her modern geometric heart. And she selected all these colors. This one's on 28 count, 2/2. The yellow submarine was on 32 count, Rit dyed 2/2. And they're cute, and she's thrilled with them. And you know, when your kids are happy, you're happy. So those are done, and those were the last of my Mania. So I'm completely finished with everything that I started during Mania, with the exception of my long dog sampler. And unfortunately for you all, I've done some of the boring stuff. The last time I showed it, I had finished the pretty peacocks, and this time I worked on the gray border a good bit, and really I worked on the words, and that's it. It's not very exciting. I wanted to get the two flowers in just so that y'all would have some color to look at, but no, I didn't. Next time, right? So I was in the mood for a small, and I pulled out my blackbird design, Ooh La La, and decided that I would start stitching the last rows of summer. Let's see how I can do that. There it is. It's really pretty. I am not going to stitch these two things on each side. I think they're flowers, but for some reason I only see lampposts. And so I am going to leave those off. And I am going to turn it into a small bag with lavender inside of it and put it in my pajama drawer. I just think it looks like something. So this is how far I've gotten on it, and basically I just pull it out in the morning and add one thread to it and put it away. That's all I do. So this will be kind of a slow going one, but it's always nice to have small ones in the rotation because you end up with finishes so quickly when you do it that way. This is another one of the smalls, and I just started this. This was new haul and a new start, and this is adorable. It is called the Prized Pig Sewing Book and Flower Urn Pin Keep, and it's a Stacy Nash. I'm going to insert a picture so that it will be a little bit better than this. And all I have is a hog hiney, but it is so cute, and I cannot wait for the rest of that pig to get stitched in. I have, you know, the wreath goes up above it, but it is just adorable. I had to start with that tail if you're wondering why I started at this end. I think that tail is so cute. So anyways, that has been a very fun, very easy stitch. This is on, let's see, a piece of 36 count raw natural Edinburgh linen. And I did some substitutions. My black that I am using is Gentle Arts Onyx. The white that I am planning to use is, let's see, Classic Colorworks Magnolia Blossom. Look how pretty. And then there are only 4 stitches with gold. And I'm using the Harvest Basket for my gold. And those are just for his feet. So I think the colors are going to be great together. And I am those are not the called for colors. Those are the ones that I thought looked best on my linen because I didn't have a piece, the called for linen. Let's see. Oh, the next one is so fun. And I don't think I've shown it. I maybe have shown the pattern, but I don't think I've shown my start. And it's called Oh Marie. And then I know that Magnolia Nana was asking about the name of the company that produced the King Charles Spaniel that I'm stitching. This is the name of the company. And their samplers are beautiful. And I have a little start on this one. This one is big. It is, I guess it's not that bad. It's 271 by 214. I think it feels big because I'm stitching it 2/2 on 28 count. So the actual fabric is big, but I am gifting this to my mother-in-law and she lives with us. And so this is kind of a gift for myself because even though she has really large, big empty walls in her room, so this will be great in there, I get to see it all the time because it's in my home. So that's really fun. And this is my start on Oh Marie. Let me see what I did with my board. It's in my lap. So I have started I stitched her face and I have started the border with the roses and the banner across the top. I actually stitched the banner, this little white bit in the banner. That was the first thing that I stitched just so that I could anchor both the border and her face. I wanted to start in the middle top. And I really, really enjoy this. The roses, the way that I'm stitching them, it calls for either silk or DMC. And I am using the called for DMC, which is 818. And I am also using, I am blending it with Gentle Arts Clover so that my roses have a blend of the called for and a variegated. And these are the 2 colors that I'm using together. There they are. And it's been kind of nice. I've tried to stitch each of the little roses individually. So on some of them, I don't ever stitch them like side to side to side to side because that's not how the color would look. But on some of them, I try to leave the darkest part on the inside. On some of them, I stitch where the darkest part is going to fall on the outside. On some of them, I want them to be more of a true blend of the colors. In fact, I think on some of them, I stitched the underneath. Let me see if I can figure out which one I did that on. I think it's this one right here. I stitched all of the bottom legs with the part of the variegation that was the darkest, and then stitched all of the top legs with the lighter variegation. So it looks more like a tweed, whereas a lot of these, you can tell where I would stitch the outer part or the inner part, but I wanted each rose to look a little bit different. And it added a little bit of excitement to somewhat boring. I counted them. There are 80 roses. And so that is a lot. Why is that doing that? There it goes. That is a lot of roses to stitch. And so, you know, now I'm just playing mind games with myself. How can I make the roses look different from one another? And so far, I've liked how it's turned out, and it's been fun. And I do the same thing with the green. I'm using a combination of the called for DMC, which is, let's see, 3348. And I am blending it with Classic Color Works Olive Branch. And I love it. I think it's come out well. And, you know, not for nothing, but blending with the DMC certainly does save money when you're going 2/2 on 28 count. So that's always nice. So there she is. Oh, Marie. And I cannot tell a lie. For some reason, when I pull this thing out, the first thing I do is get on YouTube and pull up Pavarotti singing Ave Maria for the first few stitches. And I do not know why. It's so silly, but I do it every time. It's like it's now become like, I politely would call it a tradition, and in all earnestness would probably call it a compulsion. But anyways, Ave Maria comes on every single time I pull her out, and then I move on to Flosstubers. It's fun. Oh, and that's the other thing. Do any of you guys, I don't see other Flosstubers do this. I stitch bias tape around the outside. Y'all, I think everyone else uses like, they serge theirs and use zigzag, but I don't know. I've always put a little strip of 1/2-inch bias tape around the outside of my linen. I think I might be alone on that one, but that's okay. And so that has been fun. I've continued working on this one, and I love her. And I got into her a little bit this last month. And I feel like I could probably pull her out during July since it's Christmas. Might be a stretch, but she is the Virgin Mary, right? Okay, I got a new start, which I mentioned that I was going to try to. I didn't get quite as much done on this as I was hoping for, but that's okay. I did a lot of stitching this month, so I'm fine with it. This is, I'm going to insert a good picture of what the finished product is going to look like right here. Okay, I am stitching the Birds of a Feather Summer on a 28 count bright white. I'm using all of the called for Weeks Dye Works with the exception of 2 colors, which I just could not find. I tried. I gave it the old college try and couldn't. So I'm using the DMC, which is also listed. And this one is big. This one is going to be 295 by 384. So, you know, I'll pull her out. I plan on, you know, I stitch the long dog during the last couple of days of the month. And I think that what I'm going to do is the like 2 days prior to working on my long dog, I'm going to work on my Birds of a Feather. And I think I'm just going to keep them seasonal. So, you know, when September or October comes around, I'll tuck this one away and start my fall. But I did get a little bit of a start on this. And a lot of this design, you spend a good bit of your time counting because there's so much negative space, but the effect is very, this is the wing of a bird and the tail of a bird, and I thought for sure I would finish my bird, and I didn't. I got distracted with some waves and some, I don't know. I just didn't get there. I didn't get as much done on this one as I had hoped for, but I got a lot of other stitching done, so I'm showing myself some grace and putting it away and bringing it back out the last few days of July. I think I'm gonna work on Jolly July stuff for the first couple of weeks and then switch and give myself maybe the last week to pull out some of my big stuff that that otherwise might not get much attention during July. So another, and that was a new start. They're all jumbled in. I'm sorry, I'm not as organized as most Flosstubers. This one is a whip, Franzie's dog. And I have gotten the dog bed stitched from one end to the other, which I realize this does not look like much stitching, but it is. I am going to defend myself. I stitched a lot on this. It is just full coverage, friends. Full coverage just takes a long time. And despite my best efforts, I am like 4 stitches off over here, and I know exactly where I made a mistake, and I know where the error is, but I've already started stitching down, and I'm not ripping out all of these stitches. I think I'm not going to. I am rolling with it. It will not, I will have an extra long dog bed, and that's okay. It's like 3 extra stitches on a 40 count. Nobody's gonna know. So anyways, that's where I've gotten on this. And the last time you saw it, I think I had just barely stitched a little tiny piece of the dog bed. I filled in all the bottom, this bit, and then brought the orange all the way across. And so I'm excited about this one. And I may or may not pull this out at the end of July. Probably not, if I had to guess. Okay, Franzie's dog was on 40 count Valor. My Birds of a Feather was on 28 count Bright White 2/2 in the called for weeks. And I'm using all the called for DMCs on Franzie's dog. The next one I'm doing is from the Blackbird Designs Liberty Eagle little pamphlet. Okay, I have the world's tiniest little start. Is that even worth showing you guys? That's all I have. I have the bottom of the border, but I'm gonna pull him back out on the 4th of July, so that'll be fun. A little 4th of July stitched. I picked this one up in quite a while. It needs some love. And then for Jolly July, let me show you what I am planning on working on. I have 2 whips that I need to work into my July rotation, and then a few new starts. So I'll go ahead and get started with those. I am going to continue working on, I haven't picked this one up in a very long time. In fact, I couldn't even remember which ones I stitched. I am doing the ornament version of Satsuma Street's 12 Days of Christmas. And I started this a long time ago, and it is so darling. It is so darling. I just love this one. And I feel like I would pick it up and, here I've got a dancer with no head, and here I've got like a Dairy Maid with no body. I mean, it's just hodgepodge, but I feel like I would pick it up. I mean, what's that person doing? No head. So I've got to start on, I think, 3 or 4 of them. And I'm doing them on 16 count Aida. I've got a couple packs of Aida ready to go. I have all of the floss that I need for it. It's been sitting to the side forever, and I'm going to stitch it up. And if I'll just put like a few stitches in each day, just kind of, I think I can get them wrapped up during July and then have them turned into ornaments to put on my tree. One of the reasons that I particularly like Aida is that I feel like, especially when it comes to ornaments, if you've got a lot of dogs, cats, children, things that are kind of hard on your stuff, I feel like Aida is really hardy. And our entire tree only has soft, there's no metal, there's no glass, there's no, we don't, I think a year ago we started putting Christmas lights on. Our middle daughter has sensory integration dysfunction, which is really common in the autistic community. And so she's oral and puts everything inside of her mouth. And for years, I worried that she would inadvertently swallow one of the hooks that you use to hang on your tree. So we would hang everything with a ribbon, and they're all plush and soft. And so just as an extra safety measure. So our whole tree is very eccentric. everything on there is kind of homemade and hodgepodge. And I grew up with trees that were, and prior to having kids, I always had trees that had, you know, beautiful glass ornaments and things like that, kind of more sophisticated. And now I love my tree. It's spectacular. It's just, it is a, it's like a living memory. It's so great. So anyways, but these will go on there. And whenever I do get them finished, because they check all the criteria. They will be soft. I can add a ribbon, and they can't injure anyone. Not a cat, not a dog, not a kid. So we're good to go there. Y'all have seen this whip. I need to work on my sister's Holiest of Night by Homespun Elegance. It's beautiful. I have not gotten any more done on this since the last time you guys saw it, but I'll show it again real quick. This one is on 32 count golden needle by Witchelt. And I am using the DMC called for blends. There are lots of blends in this one. It's 2/2. With the exception that this vine was going real brown. It was supposed to be the same color of the Holiest of Nights, and I added a green in. I ditched the darker of the browns and added a dark green so that it had the same, the depth of color was the same, but the color tone was different, I guess. So anyways, that was the only change that I've made, but this is as far as I've gotten, so there is no telling what I will switch up. So that is another whip to be worked on during the month of July. And this I am so excited about. This was a gift from one of my kiddos, and it's an older, gosh, I don't see a date on here. I believe it's older. It's from Praiseworthy Stitches, and it is Simple Gifts Christmas, and it's a Quaker design. And my daughter gave this to me with some floss that she wanted for me to use to stitch it. And I love it. This is a piece of 36 count coffee and tea dye that I made. It's just this Weigart base, and I made the linen, or I dyed it. I didn't make it. And I selected these 3 colors. It calls for 3 colors, a red, a gold, and a green. And I have selected Ye Old Gold, Razzleberry, and Pine Needles, all from Classic Colorworks. And I had these in my stash. And so, anyways, that's what I did. I just pulled from stash, though. I'm doing my very best just to pull from stash right now, since we are in Texas, and we're not getting out and about too much right now. So I will be starting this one, and I'm super excited about it. And like I said, I think I'm going to do Jolly July for the first 3 weeks, so I might come back at the end of the 3 weeks and show you guys what I've gotten done, and then focus on some of my bigger ones after that. The second one I'm going to start, and I'm going to have to start this at a later time. I need to sit down and find all the floss for it. I am going to just put a close picture of the pattern with the name of the designer and the name, because they're in Italian and foreign language. That is not my skill set. That's outside my wheelhouse, friends. So there you go. There's a lot of negative space in like the mountain areas. There just is. There's a lot of area with no stitching on it whatsoever. And my concern was that I would get off counting. I do tend to make counting errors more commonly on higher counts. And old eyes, I don't know what to blame that on, or just not double and triple checking. So I went with a 20 count. I'll get the exact same stitch size as the 40 count, and it might not be quite as, it will look more like an Ada. I mean, it's a 20 count even weave. It's pretty though. It's really pretty. So the stitch size will be small. It'll be the size of a 40 count. I think it's going to be great. I'm sticking with it. I have hemmed and hawed long enough, and this is what I'm going with. I know that I can keep count on a 20 count. So I'm staying where I am. And I have a final new start for Jolly July. And this one is so fun. I have had this. Do you have these charts? I know you do. I think everybody does. And you've had them in your stash and you just keep thinking, I'm gonna get to that. I will definitely stitch that. I'm gonna get to that. Well, I'm kind of in a nativity kick right now with the one. I think the thing that got it started was the one that I did for my sister, and I had kitted the Nativity by Sarah for Mania. It was gonna be one of my Mania starts. And of course I kitted it with different fabrics, so maybe this all worked out the way it should have. But I've never kitted this, and I'm so excited to start it. It's the Prairie Schooler Nativity. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. It's the Prairie Schooler Starry Night, but it is so cute, guys, and they're just individual little ornaments, and I actually think I am going to, I was looking at them, and I think that what I'm going to do instead is stitch 4 and on a piece of bright white 28 count and stitch them one atop another because they're the same width, and only one of them is a different height, and it's only by, I think, 3 stitches. So the ones that I am going to stitch are, let's see if I can see this. Okay, so I'm going to stitch the angel. I am going to stitch the donkeys. I'm going to stitch this one, and I am going to stitch this one, and I am going to omit these 3. These 2 only because of the orientation, and this one because I liked the other 4 much better. That's it, friends. I am going to put away all of my June stitching this evening, and I think, in fact, I don't even think I'm going to stitch today. I think I'm going to dig through all of my floss and make sure that I get everything completely kitted and ready to go. And that's it. So I had 2 finishes, a bunch of work. I think I had 7 whips that I worked on during the month of June, and I've got 5 plus my little 4th of July piece. That's it. I think it'll be good. Jolly July. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye.